streaming button. Any second now, we will be live.
Sweet.
Ah, there's already a couple people in there. Morning Darkness, Rob
Hello.
Wharton. Hello. Hide for myself. Great. Cheery is testing out a new command to be like, sign up for our newsletter. Oh, wait. I'm supposed to
Nice.
play some lobby music. Can you hear that? I hope it's not like annoyingly loud. Is that coming through on
It's
screen?
okay to me.
Yes, no, maybe.
Oh, I can hear it on stream.
Oh, okay,
It's
great.
not annoying. Not annoyingly loud. Sounds pretty good.
Ali Cantina, our maybe our top refer. you brought the whole Spanish channel to life. No pink-eared headset from me. I'm sorry. Steph has a monopoly on all of the Overwatch themed and cute pink headset paraphernalia. Hi, the names. The name's I. Hi, I. Hey, Grace. The whole Spanish Armada. We're dude, it's super fun to watch you guys run around. Honestly, it's awesome.
I'd love to get an upgraded headset.
With cat ears.
Why not?
Bounty Hunter, welcome. Our first time chatter. Excited to have you here. The name's L. How's it going, Keller Point? Bear ear? Or just the, what about great floppy dog ears? Ones that move around. Guys, can we talk about the booty scooty being gone? Oh no. I know that post made its way around the team this morning. We're working on it. We have some plans. We can give you a little preview on some plans. Here, I'm gonna. This music just keeps going. I'm gonna stop it now. Hi Rob, how's it going? Welcome to the channel. I think we're giving people a couple minutes just to filter in, but we already got a bunch of people chatting in here. Jar Jar, nice red panda. Hi Mothy Pants. That's what it should say. Welcome to Boat Game Stream. So welcome everybody to the stream today. So today we got, you're here under duress. Oh no, Fuzzy. Is this also butt scoot related? I can only assume. Uh, Today we got a stream with Ryan and myself. So we're gonna reintroduce ourselves. We got the winners of our photo contest to share with you guys. And then the main thing that Ryan and I are going to talk about is maybe, I guess, a little bit of a meta topic, which is sort of like the game developer's view of why and how to make a game unique. And specifically what we're doing in sort of our journey with Voyagers of Nera in trying to build something that is unique in a world that has just crap loads of awesome games coming out. How do we try and stand apart? How do we think about it? How do we like put work toward against it? And how did we sort of learn about it along the way? So some fun stuff. Hi Star Movement. Another first time chatter. Holy crap. Call me Chrissy as well. Oh my gosh. We got 5 new first chatters in the first couple of minutes. The Shocker as well. Welcome. Let's reintroduce ourselves. Ryan, you want to go first?
Yeah. Great to be here. My name's Ryan. I'm one of the co-founders of Treehouse and the game director on Voyagers of Nera. Uh, yeah. Well, what else is important about me? Right now, we're busy trying to ship the game and get it ready for everybody in early access. And I split my time working with the team to decide what we're going to kind of prioritize in upcoming milestones, jumping in and helping fix bugs and content issues where I can. And then earlier on in the project, I was very involved with kind of deciding what game are we going to make, who's it for, what are some of the things we should focus on, some of the things that I think we'll touch on later today. But great to meet all of you and all the new people, particularly.
I'm Michael. I am the CEO for Treehouse. So right now, nowadays, a lot of it is more the external facing side of like how do people learn about our game, what's happening in our community, working with Cheery a whole lot. Also working on some of the marketing materials and like shiny new trailer and stuff that we're going to be showing. Well, is this not weird to say? We're going to have a little trailer in the PC gaming show later this summer, which is pretty cool. Right before the day before June Next Fest, so please look out for that. That'll be really fun. But separate from both of those things, Ryan and I are the co-founders for Treehouse. So we started the studio way back when. The fun fact is that we were actually friends from college days when we were working on student projects to get into the industry in the first place, which is always kind of a crazy, challenging adventure. And then we took kind of different paths. So Ryan is like startup veteran. Out of everyone on the team, he's probably worked on the most different parts of the game, doing like all sorts of different types of work. And then I was on the other end of the extreme, working at really, really big studios, like Riot on games like League of Legends. And we sort of, reunited to mix indie and some of like the bigger sort of studio approach with Treehouse. Hi, Aminley. I'm gonna say Aminley. Welcome. A lot of familiar faces in chat as well. Welcome to the stream. First and foremost, if you guys haven't been here before, because we got a lot of new faces, dude, like we're just developers making this game. There's not a ton of us. There's only 16 of us working on the game full time. So if you guys have questions and stuff, like just hit us up and we're just down to chat and just really we just want to show more about what the game is and how we're making it. And like honestly, we're super active in our Discord and stuff like that because it's just really fun to actually talk with players directly. It's also really helpful for how we like to develop games. So this is just a chance to just be sharing some stuff with you guys in real time more directly. Uh MA7 HIU5. Matthias maybe? Welcome. Zephyr also welcome. Oh my gosh, so many new chatters. Holy crap. And thank you for all the folks who are ditching work or school right now to join. um, why Voyagers of Nera? Before that, how Voyagers of Nera? Well, actually, a lot of today will be about how Voyagers of Nera. Oh my god, do we have a new follower? It doesn't show up in chat. Do you see who the new follower is, Ryan?
I don't.
Oh no, I can't see it on my own stream. It's too small. Thank you for the new follower. Someone give me the message. Let's see. I'm Kringles. Oh my god, so many new chatters. Holy crap. Um, okay. Well, here, let's just start off with that one. That's a fun question about modding framework. Ryan, you're also the right person to ask that too.
Oh, modding the game.
Yeah.
Well, I love mods. I'm a big fan of mods. I mod the heck out of the survival crafting games I play. It's something we've been talking about for a long time. We've actually been in talks with some folks who support modding for Unreal games. Right now, we're not planning on having any mod support for early access, but it's something that definitely will be possible post early access if we see people really liking the game and wanting to introduce kind of more content. If we do mods, it would almost certainly come in the form of something closer to Arc, where it's like an editor that you can like launch and make your own levels and make your own boats, and then make those available on various platforms or the marketplace for free. So it's something we're not working on right now because we're trying to just land the ship of shipping the game. But it's something that I would love to introduce in the future if we find an audience.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really good way to give your game kind of like long legs and give players a lot of options.
Well,
We are going to be working on some new server settings for early access. So you can get in there and you can kind of tune the difficulty and experience to your liking. So that we can commit to.
also just as developers, like it's such a nice like love letter to a game to be like, oh my god, like our game has a mod, like holy crap, that's so cool. So that's something we'd be very excited about. First, we just got to ship the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
game.
Philosophically, I love mods. I think all games should be moddable. I kind of came up and did some of my first development doing some early source mods. And so the only thing holding us back now is time and money. But those change over time. So who knows?
Yeah, it's funny. Time and money ends up being a constraint for a lot of things, it turns out in life.
Yes.
Hey, we got some modders in the chat. That's so cool. Hey, Druid Wolf, welcome. Okay, first, I just want to say thank you because we've had a lot of people submit entries, and we were just like, it's been a really long time since we've done like some early photo contests, and we're like kind of heading toward the path of like next fest, and we're like, we should totally do this again. We have so many people who are active in Discord, but still really awesome to see so many people who've submitted into our two categories, our solo category and our group category. So thank you all for the submissions. We grabbed all of them. We brought it to voting for the team, which we did vote on. So we have a couple of winners down below that we're going to announce. But we also just grabbed a lot of like ones that we wanted to showcase and show in front of you guys that we're going to show right after. So without further ado, without dangling it, without elongating this any further than it needs to be, we want to share the winners for our two categories. So the first one is our solo category, which actually we had an unprecedented tie between two entries. So we actually have two winners. The first we have from Grace, longtime supporter. Wait, I'm sorry. I have to drag this over slightly so you can see the subtitle. There we go. There we go. Grace, never succumb to the deep. Beautiful scenic shot that captured our imagination. So congratulations to Grace. Thank you so much for submitting. And Cheery is going to be in contact with you about your sweet prize. But we have a second winner because of the tie, and we were like, dude, this only feels fair. Is we have another winner in Violetta. Congratulations. Waiting. Oh, wait, this is the group one. Oh, I panned the wrong way. Sorry, group one first. uh, Violetta, waiting for sunrise with the girls. We were like, holy crap, this is built out like crazy. It's amazing. What a scene of just like not just a little base anymore, but like a whole village setting, with the whole group gathered together. I mean, we zoom in. Yes, thank you. Get it as full screen as I can. There you go. Zoom in. I
Wow.
see someone
Patience
found the string lights
extends
also.
forever. Incredible.
um, we, if you guys have seen our other our trailer even stuff, we talk a lot about like part of why we form Treehouse is because we want to make games that can be the best way for friends to spend time together, to create worlds that friends can get lost in together, to have these moments of like memorable, crazy chaos you end up in together, and to look back and be like, oh my God, look at everything we accomplished together. So this really nailed that vibe for us in a way that really sort of resonated. So thank you guys for making this. It's really, really, really cool. So huge shout out to you guys. Absolutely amazing build. And Cherry will be reaching out to you shortly. I also just loved the subtitle as well. Let me go back, zoom in on Grace's a little bit before I get over to our other solo winner. Yeah, yeah. Almost a little waterfall-esque. I actually don't know what this is in the upper left, so that's a mystery to me. Hi, Pearls Playtime, another first-time chatter. Oh my god. Um, we are popping off now. And now to our second solo winner, we got Canis, Beauty and Denizens of Nera. Perfectly timed shot. Um, oh my god, Violetta's in our chat. Awesome. Congratulations. Canis, a beautiful shot that also captured our imagination. Very difficult timing. We were just shooting a bunch of stuff for our next trailer just yesterday. So we know how hard it is to get some of this timing right. And that's with all the cheats in the world so that we can like avoid damage and stuff like that. So huge props to this moment of terror. Great backdrop of having the spires and a lot of the coral reef that I think makes the game feel a little more like our game. So we were really excited to see this. Really nailed, I think, the spirit of what we've been sort of working on these last couple months. Really, really cool. So congratulations to all of our winners. We're going to be reaching out to you ASAP. Churi's going to be messaging you about prizes. And thank you guys so much. Something that we're also going to be trying to do is trying. Well, here, actually, I'll say this after our next bit because these were not our only submissions. We have dozens and dozens of additional submissions. Chiri grabbed just a set of them from all over so we could sort of spread some of the visibility to a lot of our honorable mentions across both categories. So just to see a few of them, I'm going to fly through them a little quicker. We have Davins with a really cool build, by the way. I actually didn't realize at first how you made this of these sort of like this sort of star pattern. That was really, really cool. Great use of the lanterns as well. Jinxed with this really cool sort of up in the actual reef spire build. That was really, really cool. My humble dwelling, Cliff. Um, uh, Violetta actually had another one in the honorable mentions, Endless Blue, which is such a awesome sort of like use of the color palettes, which was really, really cool. And the spirit form that if you guys haven't seen yet, you can unlock now in the newest build, a new way to sort of get this guy. Um, uh, Davins is getting a shout out with from a fan. Um, Reiki T. Speaking of a village, this is almost like a city uh, of different buildings just all over the Embrace Cove. Pretty incredible. Lot of effort. Solo Pirate Village is the name of
How
that.
many boats they have?
I know.
That's wild.
It's like that scene in Pirates 3 where they show is it Shanghai or something? But yeah, really crazy built out. I'm also surprised that the
Oh yeah.
performance held up with this many buildings. um, uh, and we got Forsetti Final Days. Um, Forsetti was also just so friendly. We were chatting in Discord when Forsetti was helping out another player with their issue. It was super nice. So thank you so much for doing that. If you're in chat, Forsetti. Yeah, beautiful scenic shot from the distance. Foxy Nix, who I believe is in the chat as well. Sunrise spectacles, almost blinding. I think you're in the reef somewhere with this shot, if I'm recognizing that plant right. So you got way up high somewhere. Yes, there the Foxy Nix in the chat. So beautiful shot, sunrise. Yes, in the reef. Fuzzy also in the chat. Dawn breaks. This is like literally horizon level view, which is really, really cool. You had to be so high up. I'm curious how many stairs you built up to get this kind of shot. Definitely knowing Fuzzy, the flirting with the breaking the game line is definitely your your style. Rakith, welcome. First time chat. About 300, I see. Uh, oh, is this you? Is this one you, Reagan? This is your shot? Oh, okay. Well, boy, I can just fix this in real time. Of fuzzy pictured. There we go. The correct credit. Thank you for catching me there. Um, and then we got a couple more just to shout out. Regina with Twilight Reef. Um, it was awesome to see the number of reef builds, by the way, which was really, really cool. I think some of these areas were ones that I think, in particular, Christina and Kyle, who've been on our chat, who do a lot of the level design, built some of these like hoping people would really build some like elaborate settings in their spots in these bases, and to see that actually happen was really exciting for them. And then Ali, Ali Cantina, who was in this chat, with another picture of the squad, previously testing the limits of the number of people who could be in our server at the same time. Now showing this really great group shot. Girl talk by the fire. um, yeah, the string lights. I'm really glad we have those back in the game. Spanish Girl Gang. Yeah. So sick. Okay. Awesome. So thank you guys so much for the submissions. The thing I was gonna say earlier is we do want to do more of these photo contests, more of these other contests in general. We're kind of looking for ideas. So if you guys have other ideas that you guys want to do, we would freaking love to see more of players' creations and stuff. It's just so fun for us as a team. And literally as we're building out new spaces, new content, it's almost like, it is complete when we see players going through it and enjoying it. So actually getting to see that is really, really cool. And in particular, I don't know if you guys see this a whole lot in Steam. Steam has like a screenshots area within its community hub that is totally empty for us right now. And honestly, as a developer, I don't know how to put anything there. So it would be really cool if we actually had some of these screenshots there, because so many players, I think, go to there as a default spot just to be like, dude, what is this game actually? And if they saw stuff like this, I feel like that would be such a kick-ass impression to make of our game, is to see these things that players made. So we're figuring out how to get those things submitted over there. If you guys know, that would be sick. But also thinking about like future contests and ways to get more of this content in front of the team for sure, but also just in front of other players. We would be like over the moon excited about that. Best race course. I know exactly who would
Oh, yeah,
suggest
that'd
that,
be
and I know exactly who would win. Sorry, Ryan. I've just been talking. Anything you wanted to chime in there?
no. I was just saying, race course could be fun to do as a wider competition too at some point.
Yeah, that'd be especially because we got more modes of travel in the game now. Multiple new modes, in fact, actually. Uh, okay. Cheery, I'm gonna leave you to get all the notes on the brainstorms because I can't keep up with the speed of chat. Um, so okay. Let's get into the next big sort of topic that we had sort of set out for today, which is really talking about trying to build something unique, and like, dude, like we play these games, we know you guys play these games. So much of putting the demo out there is trying to be like, yo, if you like these games, like we think we're building something that you'd really like, because we're fans of this genre. And so I think as players, we all know that there are like these sort of sets of conventions that you want out of some of your favorite games in the space, but you also feel in your gut like, dude, this game is just like a copy of this other one but worse, or like, dude, why would I play this one when this other one already exists? So we feel in our gut that, yeah, these are like a lot of like the giants and the titans, but they've also done something really specific, sometimes multiple things, very differently from other games, that help them have a unique voice, a unique footprint, a unique thing, fantasy, vision that they offer to players, that ultimately is a big part of why players fall in love with them. And so, that's something we all feel in our guts as players. Druid Wolf, you are so kind, and I'm going to think about that comment for a long time. um, uh, welcome, Buck McDancer. Hello. Um, not cool posting my Steam library right
Mine
on
too.
this slide. That is actually how I went and captured all these. Is I just went through my library. Uh, but like I think we all feel this gut feeling, which is like, dude, some familiarity is good, right? Like we love survival crafting for a reason. We love games in this genre for a reason. But too much can be really bad. And so from the earliest phases of making the game, we have to place bets on how much to stand out, where to stand out, how to stand out. And actually that's kind of gets back to the comment from earlier this chat of not just like why Voyagers of Nera, but how Voyagers of Nera. And it's like this is actually one of the most important things that we have to decide: genre, and then how to be unique inside of that genre. So I want to hand it over to Ryan because we've been through a long journey on this, but ultimately really started to hone in on what are uh, unique selling points, differentiators, like however you want to call it, what we want them to be for our game. And I'm gonna just hit the little follow button, Ryan, so you can pan around as you like, or unless you just want me to just go over to the ocean guys.
Vol is fine.
Okay, great. Whoop.
Cool.
Here we go.
So yeah, it's been a long journey, right? Those of you who've been in the community for a long time, you've seen the game go through a lot of iterations, and there's not like, you know, figuring out what's going to make your game stand out is not as simple as just like solving a formula, right? And so there's been a lot of trial and error. Like the game's genre has shifted. It used to be much closer to kind of an MMO light before last year we moved it squarely into the survival crafting genre. We had some elements of the game that we thought made it different that didn't pan out as we got into prototyping and developing. And this is something that we're constantly having to like revisit and check against. And so, where we've decided to place our bets are kind of in three areas. And one is the seafaring nature of the game, right? Like we are a seafaring survival crafting game where you have to go out in the ocean, engage with it. Kind of everything is contextualized by that. We have islands rather than kind of like giant land masses. We have content both above and below the water. And so that's an area that when we were kind of looking across the landscape of survival crafting games, we didn't see a lot there. I mean, obviously, we have the rafts, we have the earlier atlases. Sea of Thieves was an early inspiration, but we saw it as something that was pretty underserved. Oh, you lost my camera.
Oh no. Sorry, I covered
I
it
don't
up.
know.
I'm trying to
Okay.
Twitch chat on my own account. There you go. Is that better?
Yeah. So
Okay.
anyway, from the very early days, we knew that seafaring is something that we really wanted to invest in, and we wanted to make it. I mean, early on, we talked about wanting to make the water in the world so lush and tropical and vibrant that you like wanted to jump in it. And that informed. I saw people in the chat were talking about how our game is a little bit like brighter and more saturated and like more welcoming than some of the grimdark survival crafting games. And a lot of that really came out of the desire to make this ocean world that you wanted to spend time in. A little bit later, as those of you who have been playtesting have seen, we've really just started to kind of spend a lot of time developing it out, is the magical spirits in our game. So, we felt that seafaring, there's a lot of different directions you can go in, right? You can go pirates, you can go kind of hardcore, like naval simulation, but we felt that wasn't enough on its own. I think there's a version of the game where we could have just gone down that road, but we really wanted to bring up kind of the fantasy and the magic of our world, and so we looked to magical spirits as a way to do that. So as you've seen a lot of our kind of recent builds, we've really been trying to deepen the fantasy there. You're going out and you're rescuing these imperiled spirits. You're bringing them back and building up a spirit sanctuary. They're granting you rewards in the form of spells and abilities and new decorations. So a lot more to come there, but that's an area that we think is not unique to the survival crafting genre. There's plenty of fantasy survival crafting games that have magic. Dragon Wilds is a really good example of that. But the intersection between kind of like the reason you're sailing out is to find these spirits, and then the reason you're building up your base is to provide a home for them, is something that we think kind of sets our game apart. And then finally, kind of the three pillars of our what we call our unique selling points is our world and actually our art style, how the game looks. Very early on, Mitch, our creative director, kind of made a bet that going in this kind of stylized, vibrant, colorful direction would help us stand out among the competition. This was years ago. So this was back when Sons of the Forest was coming out, and we were having a lot of these kind of more grimdark ones. And there are definitely more games that I think are similar to us in art style. I think Aloft, Dragon Ball's Lost Skies are all moving in that direction. But I still think that the way that we're realizing the world, the way that we're kind of representing the thematic, and then of course the art style really helps our game look different than other survival crafting games, and that's never been more evident than like the screenshot contest. Right, like I agree with Michael. If we were to put these in our Steam library, instantly players would understand that our game kind of has a different vibe, a different look. Um, so these are things that on the development side, like we had to decide fairly early on, and then we had to kind of mobilize around and spend time on, and they're really bets, right? And so we're constantly getting feedback. We'll talk more about that in a bit, but we're always kind of like testing this. Like we think this is going to be something that makes our game unique and that players love, and then as we play test that, we kind of learn and refine. And in a lot of ways, I mean, early access is really our actual validation of that. I hope that because of the investments we've made in some of these unique selling points, like our game will, cut through the noise of all those Steam early access releases. But I'm sure we'll get a ton of feedback that helps, inform areas we double down or even inspires other things we do. Um, so that's kind of when we're thinking of the unique seller points, it's the why, right? It's to stand out, get attention, cut through the noise of all the games that release. And the way we handle that internally is kind of looked at the game as it developed and tried to identify some of those core things, those pillars that we feel like had room in the marketplace.
Yeah. Some of them were very early bets that we feel very validated in now. Oh, by the way, we're zooming along with you, Ryan. I'm following you
Oh,
on Miro.
I'll try to choreograph it a little bit more.
um, like the ocean one. I mean, like I think we've mentioned this before in the past, but like there are these really early conversations with Mitch that the three of us had where we were really talking about like the feeling of exploration and the feeling of like being on this road trip with your friends and going out and seeing this thing out there in the distance and then coming back and that being sort of like the adventure that you share together. And there were a lot of different ways that we could express that. But at one point, I remember we literally had the debate of like, are we talking about like airships and sky castles, or are we talking about boats and islands? And there's a reason there are so many airship games out there is because it's kind of cheaper to do than having ocean and underwater mechanics. And at the end of the day, we're like, but like there's something that we think is like resonant and something that people can emotionally connect to and that feeling that people can share in thinking like, hey, what's that thing out there on that horizon? Like that moment of standing on the beach and being like, what's that over there? Like, let's go check that out. And so we ultimately decided we wanted to do that because we thought there was this extra layer of like this romantic notion and this feeling of exploration that you could share with your friends that was stronger with the seafaring side. And even though that meant more work and setting ourselves up for a lot of challenges there, that we were like, but that's worth it for that feeling. And now we're like, oh, thank goodness, because there's so many airship games coming out right now that it's just like, woof, that would have been much harder to sort of stand apart if we had decided to go that route.
Yeah. And that's a great example too of the role that like luck plays in development, right? Like we were having that conversation, 2 years ago. So it was before Lost Skies or any of these games were announced, or at least, had information about them. And like we had, reasons to go with Seafaring, but there was definitely, alternate universe where we actually kind of doubled down in these kind of magical, airships. And so, we got lucky that now there's a lot of, I think, going to be a lot of room for this. I mean, there's games like Subnautica that are kind of in our space, but are pretty different. And so, yeah, it's always really interesting to be making these decisions years before they kind of come to fruition and trying to guess where things are going to go.
uh, Rakith asks, does this mean you're working towards a true open world where we can essentially go anywhere as soon as we can sail? I mean, Ryan, I think is the right person to answer that.
Yeah. So we've talked about that a lot. Where we've landed is that we had an early version of the game where you could literally go to any biome in any order. And there was a bunch of situations where it was really frustrating because you know, especially with our game, the distance between things, you'd sail for like 5, 10 minutes and then just kind of get rebuffed by the game because you were in an area that you weren't, you know, supposed to be in. And that's really valid. A lot of games do this. Valheim, you know, you can sail as soon as you get the boat. But we decided to do a slightly more contained open world. So our biomes are pretty big, particularly when you get to the second one, the reef. It's massive space, and you can kind of go anywhere within there. And there's different difficulty levels. There's some pockets of harder enemies, challenging content. Um, but you have to spend some time and rescue the elder spirits, which you can see on my screen right now, the bird and the wave person on the left, before you can sail through the storm wall that divides the biomes. So I still describe the game as open world, but we are trying to provide some structure for the way that you advance through the world, while giving players a lot of freedom to, you know, build anywhere. We have a change that's upcoming in a upcoming milestone where when you build your base, enemies won't spawn there. So we're trying to give you more freedom of kind of where you build and where you go. But yeah, we do expect players to kind of go through the biomes in order, and we're trying to design all the content around that so it's appropriate difficulty and you're getting more options and more strengths to go.
I missed the question earlier from Star Movement. Will there be pet mechanics?
Another thing that we've talked a lot about, earlier versions of the game, we actually had some creatures you could find in the world and bring them home and put them in a pen, and they would, you know, create wool and other things for you. Right now, there's no explicit pet mechanics. You got the bullwog, who acts as a recycling bin and is very cute, and then you have your spirit companion, the little one that flies around. But this is an area that we want to see, you know, how people respond to it, and I could very easily see a future update that's centered around that, similar to how Loft did in their recent kind of creature collection and pet update.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you guys can probably see this, like the bullwog we have that ends up being your little trash can for eating all of your excess loot. It's we had that originally because we had ambitions down the vein of having like little cute sort of pet companions, but ultimately we're like, dude, this isn't gonna make it for early access. Like we got to focus on these other things that are just much more core to the rest of the loop, and then but like it would fit very well when we can actually get there. Hi, Diddy? Diddle. Sorry. Hello. Welcome. Um, and I think Star Movement, you had another question as well about the building system. Let me save that one for the end, just so that we can come back around to it. But I will remember. Um, so I think this what Ryan described is a lot of like our bets at this point, right? And then sort of graduating from this, like this these strategically placed bets into like, well, you know, what's the saying? Like no plan survives contact with the enemy or something. Hi Regina, welcome. Were we just seeing one of your screenshots a second ago? So we honed in, we picked our bets, and then it's just like feedback, feedback, feedback. Tons and tons of feedback, and you know that takes many forms. It's not just from playtesting, but it's also just being like, dude, what have people actually been excited about? What have they been reacting to in video, in social media, and whatever? And all of those are very relevant inputs to being like, hey, is this thing that we think will make the game cool actually working in the wild with real players, with people who have never heard about our game? And that's sort of the job they need to do, right? And so that has been sort of this loop that we've been doing. I mean, since like April of last year, we've been playtesting every 2 weeks. We've been posting social media, and all of that is sort of relevant to getting these feelers, even since our announcement before that. I mean, we can tell you guys about some of the interesting things that we've sort of learned down that, because we've learned a crap load, right? Like nothing is the way you think, and nothing is the way you plan, especially when it's like years apart and like thousands and thousands of players' opinions apart. So yeah, I mean, we should talk about some of the boat ones because I feel like we have so much feedback around that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so for some context, so I don't remember exactly where it was, early last year. where we kind of pivoted the game to a much more traditional survival crafting shape. And in doing that, we basically just had to do the bare minimum to get the core loop working of going out and sailing and coming back to base. And so there wasn't a lot of opportunity to really develop some of the things that make our game unique, the ocean, polishing our art style, and spirits. And so that was a really fun time because we basically got a version of the game that we slammed together. And then we started going wide in our playtests, and we immediately got a bunch of feedback that directly informed what we worked on next. So people will remember that build. That build actually was before there were like any enemies underwater. There was almost nothing down there. There were, technically, I think at that time spirits, but they were very different than the version they're in right now. And so the feedback really helped us decide what to spend the next months on and what to focus on. And so we did that playtest. And then we started collecting feedback from all these different sources. I think most people in our community are probably familiar with these, but in case you're not, this is where you can go to give us feedback. At the end of every playtest, including the public ones, we have a link to a survey. This is kind of our best source of high context feedback, because people can really grade how the game is and write their thoughts and request things. And we spend a lot of time pouring through this. We also have our feature upvote. That's in the upper right there. This is an area where if you just have some suggestions or want to see what other people are suggesting asynchronously, you can add it here. There should be a link in Discord to that. We have the Discord feedback channels, multiple of them. They're a similar thing where you can we're constantly looking to see what people are asking for. And from all of these sources, after every milestone, but particularly when we first put together this demo build, we went to it and we were trying to see how are people feeling about the things that we've decided are our unique selling points, or the things that set the game apart. And in some ways, it's very validating. There's some quotes here, like, I really enjoyed spending time on the water, skimming was delightful, things like that. But there's also, a million things, frictions that people are hitting, or features they expect to be there, that we can kind of identify directly from this feedback. And then we take that, and that helps kind of chart a path for us. So we knew already that we were going to spend these two big milestones on our two unique selling points, spirits and seafaring, but this helped give us some specific targets. So, the worst part about game development is that, you can't do everything. You can't respond to all the feedback. You have to pick your battles. And so there's a lot more to come in these areas. But one of the best parts about game development is that, there's kind of infinite potential. And so we were able to take all that feedback and then look for trends, look for things that were either people really liking or really struggling with. There's some quotes here, but there's innumerable ones behind it. And then these are some of the things that we looked at, and as a team, we thought about how can we solve some of these things? How can we improve some of these things? And so if you played some of the earlier builds, particularly before our seafaring focused milestone, oxygen was in a really rough space. Swimming around felt, I think in the words of some playtester, very stiff and unintuitive. There wasn't enough content underwater. There was a long period of time where we had a single snapper, a single enemy, and nothing else under there. And so we kind of looked through these things and thought about what do we have time to work on? What trends are we really seeing? And then we use those to kind of establish goals and problems for the next stage of development. So if you want to go over to the right. So we pretty directly took a lot of these feedback points. Below are just some of the less positive ones, areas for improvement.
Oh yeah.
But here we tried to really to kind of synthesize some goals and problem statements out of those. So these things will probably sound familiar to people who play tested the game at that point, but there's just not enough to do in the ocean, was something that we heard from almost every player. We certainly felt that internally. And then we thought about what are some opportunities that we can act on to actually improve that. So this is why we now have many more things to get underwater. We have the underwater ruins, kind of our dungeons that force you to dive down in our core carpet aggression. We have critters, monsters, enemies, and these are all stemmed from that core problem we are seeing, both feeling and seeing in the feedback. So there's many of these for each milestone, but these are some examples of kind of the level that we break these down to. You'll also see the one on the left is, as we were working on seafaring and spirits, we kind of structured it so we focused on one then the other, which kind of led to a situation where they weren't very interconnected. They almost felt like like two different parts of two different games almost in some ways. And so something we've been really working on now, and you'll see this in kind of the upcoming updates, is trying to make those things more connected, trying to make it so that, collecting spirits, you then have to go back to base and do something with them. You're encouraged to go sail, explore, skim, swim, because the things you get from interacting with the spirit systems are really exciting. We had some much larger designs that if we were successful in early access, I would love to pursue, where we had the spirits actually kind of like acting as crew on your boat and kind of giving you abilities there. And so these are some examples of some of the things that we consider when deciding what to focus on here. Um, and then all of that, this is a pretty quick process. We're moving fairly fast. We have a small team, but all that goes down into actually planning what we're working on. And so this is, if you're curious, this is what the team is like actually looking at day to day is a list of tasks in a program called Jira. And you can even see from some of these. Let's see. Well, these are bad examples, but there's a lot of things that you can trace directly from the task level of what we're working on to the actual user who gave this feedback. And that's something that really cool. And imagine if we didn't have any of that feedback, we'd just be going with our own intuitions and feelings, which sometimes they're right, sometimes they're very wrong. And so I see this type of kind of feedback and planning as a really important thing, especially for a small team, to kind of calibrate and assess what's important and decide how to spend our very limited resources. So this, is how we work now. Even once we get to early access, we'll probably only have done like 10% of the things that we have ideas for in Seafaring, in Spirits, certainly on the art size. So there's a lot of potential going forward. And we've seen some great examples of games that have been successful in early access and been able to do it. One of my favorite examples is Subnautica. On a podcast a long time ago, they told a story where they actually, before that game came out in early access for the first time, they had a whole kind of like narrative that they were going to develop, and they were going to kind of release some narrative content and like some story structures as part of their updates. But then when they released it, they saw that players really liked the underwater sandbox, just spending time underwater, kind of exploring the depths. And so they actually kind of like use that feedback and validation of their underwater thematic, and then pivoted their development plans towards that. And I've always said that's a really good example of the type of like flexibility and transparency and kind of like humility that I think is characteristic of good game development. And so I'm really excited once we, continue to test and when we get to early access to be able to learn things like that. So please keep the feedback coming, and we're going to constantly be working on and investing in these areas that we think makes our game different than other survival crafting games.
Welcome Kitty to the chat. We also broke 50 viewers, which is pretty crazy. I think that's the first time that's happened.
Nice.
Which is really neat. Also, a couple questions that have popped up. The first, is the huge tube fish still in the game in the latest build?
I think it's technically in the build, but I don't think it's findable anywhere in the world. I assume that was the early sea serpent. That was just a skull on a tube.
It was the earliest snapper. Just for
that's right.
the fish AI. I feel like it might still be around somewhere. I just don't know where.
Yeah. I'd love at some point that and the orb boss, some of those early ones. It would be fun to do kind of a supercut of some of those like work in progress enemies. But I like the new fish and the sea monster better.
Please don't ever change this game to first person. I would never be able to play it. No plans for that.
Yeah, I think you're safe there.
It's actually a lot of work to make it third person and look good, which we've done. So trying not to go back on that one. Yeah, you also, while you were talking, just so many comments of people's horror stories with the stalker eel.
Oh yeah.
Plans to change the FOV? That's a good question.
I definitely want to have that as an option in the settings menu. I know that's one of the first things I always change in games. I was playing the Oblivion Remastered last night, and I had to crank up the FOV. I don't know exactly when that's going to come in, but we do have a bunch of tasks on the backlog to give more graphics settings, more gameplay settings, things like being able to invert the boat controls if you prefer that. And so I'd be very surprised if that wasn't one of them. And if it's not, then keep bugging us, keep giving us the feedback, and we'll get it there.
Let's see. We had another one. Will we be able to encounter other human types in small settlements to provide additional interaction and possibly lore beyond the spirits?
Yeah. So right now, the world is pretty devoid of humans. You as the echoes are kind of venturing out in this kind of wild new world. I know that Mitch, our creative director, and our narrative folks have talked about that a lot. So it's definitely something I could see us pursuing in the future. Maybe there's some other echoes out there who have, set up a settlement and you run into them or things like that. There's a bunch of narrative and lore that, as a small team, we're trying to inject as much as we can into the game right now. But if it does well and if people are really resonating with it, I would love to bring more of that forward and expose that more to people.
In case you missed it, sheep shark? Question mark. I don't know what the context of it, but like, will it exist? Is that a thing? I guess.
Yeah, we've had sheep sharks at various points. These are a cross between basically a woolly shark that lives underwater. We even had a model in the game at some point, and I have a plushie behind me. I'd love to figure out a way to bring the sheep shark back if we ever kind of go more into the pets and critters direction. I think the sheep shark would be a good candidate there. We do have some upcoming critters with one of our upcoming biomes. We're going to add a boar that you can encounter and things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if the sheep shark came back, but no current plans.
There. um, Another question. Uh, a small group of us like to have the option of changing the y-axis for the mouse. Will this be coming, or is there a workaround that works at the moment?
Yeah, so that's another one of the things that we've talked about adding to the settings menu. I'm not sure exactly where that will fall in the priorities, but that's where it would go if we introduce that option. And yeah, that and some other basic kind of control accessibility settings I would really love to get in before early access.
Yeah, we saw a couple threads about that on our Steam discussion board as well.
Yeah, a
So
lot of feedback on that one.
yeah, I think maybe a bigger group than it might feel like actually still defaults to that. So we'll definitely look at that. I can't.
Yeah.
I hope it's not that hard. I feel like it can't be that hard. uh,
No, no. And
and
then also becoming increasingly important too for an even larger group as we introduce controller support. So we'll definitely
yes,
keep
true.
you updated on that one.
Any plans for text to speech? It would be amazing for those of us with vision impairments. The fonts so far are generally readable, but we have people in our community that have more aggressive blindness. Hmm.
Yeah, great question. I haven't looked into that myself. We've definitely had some discussions about accessibility and colorblind modes and stuff. I'm not that familiar with what the options are for text to speech, whether some of those are at the OS level or maybe even some of those are supported in real. So I'll add that to the list of things that we're looking into. We do plan to in the pretty near future add some a chat so you can talk with people on the server. So I could see that becoming an even more important way to be able to engage with that system. So
Oh,
yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I'll make note and look into that.
that immediately hits one of Grace's questions. We got another one. 808 Granimal. uh, Welcome also. The game is beautiful. I feel like the open world sense through the interactions and artwork. The only thing is restriction on building. Any plans on building becoming more freedom based? I responded. I don't know if we got another response related to it. Over the course of working on the building system, we've made it more and more open, more and more like, dude, like just build wherever you want to build. We have a couple of specific rule sets that we've sort of have set up of spirit anchors and having a proximity around the spirit anchor be part of what allows some of the higher tier stations to work. But you can totally just plop down like workbenches and campfires and stuff wherever you want, or stairs or whatever you want to get around the game.
Yeah,
So
Michael,
very
I can also speak to some of the stuff we're doing right now to increase building freedom because we're actually doing a ton this milestone. So that we still want you to have a spirit anchor in your kind of main base and that powers some of your magical stations. But we're actually doing a big pass right now on reducing some of the restrictions. For example, some of the roof restrictions, so that you can build more things kind of outside or wherever you want. I believe we're actually just keeping it on beds currently. We're going to test that out. We're also doing a lot of work on the building system right now. Those of you who have played for a long time, you might have noticed the building system hasn't like changed as much, and it's because we've been kind of waiting for this like big refactor to really change how it works. And so we're actually going to be, I believe, in this next milestone, going to be starting with a more of a framework where you can build a base, but you have to decide which walls to put up, how to build it out. And so we're expecting that's going to give you a lot more freedom and variety for how you can actually build your bases. And we'll have more details on that in the upcoming patch notes. And then we're also doing a bunch of quality of life things that I think like accidentally restrict freedom. Like, for example, right now you can plop your base down in the middle of an enemy camp. And if you don't notice, then your base is like kind of ruined or at least very annoying. So we're planning on improving that. I've seen a lot of the feedback on you build a base, but then it was where a tree was, and so it respawns is now in the middle of your base. We're going to look into ways to mitigate that. So no, like major changing the building system to something else, but we're adding a lot more options, a lot more variety, new kits that look different, fixing a lot of the issues like parts not snapping together or roofs being really hard to place. Maybe a future dev stream we can do dedicated to that. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think building's going to get a lot cooler in the near future.
Also, decorators earlier, which is a
Yes.
bunch of feedback that we got from this last playtest, where it's just like, dude, I can't decorate stuff until quite late down the tree, and we're like, oh yeah, totally. Oh wait, so I can see it on my own stream. Hello, we got a what is it? Damn it, I didn't see it. A new follower. Ah, man, I'm a terrible streamer.
We're still learning.
Welcome to the stream. Thank you for following. A couple more questions while we're sort of hitting the end of this. Um, plushies incoming. Oh God, I wish this was a very simple, low sort of low fidelity approach to it, and it was really for like a giveaway for the team. It's something we really want to do. We're actually looking into some like more interesting sort of like external facing versions of this where we could like sort of batch up together and order something like that. Don't have a hard plan for you, but honestly it'd be dope. We also just have a lot of things in our game that are very plushable that I think would be really cool. So yeah, we want to look into that. Probably I don't think before early access though. I think Codiations also had a question about console support at early access. We're not going to have consoles at early access. We're only going to be launching on PC on Steam, but it's something that we obviously want to do. I think especially over the last couple of years, survival crafting has just become a lot bigger on consoles as well. But we'd want to do that with like crossplay, with like cross save and stuff like that. And it's also just a lot of work and very expensive to do as a small studio. So we probably wait until later. I think right now my personal sort of like dream approach to that would probably be like cool early access goes well and then trying to time 1.0 with um, console versions of the game. And I think that would be
Yeah.
sort of a nice moment. Okay, this one
Yeah.
I saw in time. Diddle, thank you for the follow.
Good question from Ali as well. Will it be possible to have separate saves for solo and multiplayer? Yes, we're doing some work on that right now. I can't remember exactly the timing of when that will come online, but we're doing some work to give you separate save slots so you can, play with multiple friend groups and have a separate solo save and have some more options around that. So look for more info on that in the near future. But yeah, it's a major bummer right now that you can only have one save. So we definitely want to make that better and will before launch.
A bounty hunter asks collections other than the spirit, like hidden treasures and such. I mean, we would love to place more goodies and hideables. I mean, even you might be able to feel the inspiration from like our when you open up the map view and you see all the different objectives. We're totally inspired by a lot of games that I think do a great job of hiding like a lot of little goodies around, like the vistas in Guild Wars 2 and stuff like that. So we would love to do more of that. It's also just continues to be the same thing of a bandwidth thing, right? So we really have put a lot more of the effort toward that, toward like the little question mark spots, the different camps to fight and get chests from, the spirits to find. But yes, eventually we would love to fill out the content in that way. Right now, a lot of it is through like enemy camps and chests and things like that. Oh, there's a mod for Valheim that does text to speech. Oh man, there's a lot of homework we
Oh,
need to do about that. Same with like plugins and stuff. There might be other
yeah,
Unreal Marketplace stuff that we can look into, but we'll have to sort that into the
yeah,
the big old priority pile.
yeah. a couple more. Fox, that's good to hear about. We introduced, now when you are rescuing spirits, sometimes mobs will come and try to fight you for them. We have some improvements to that coming soon, so it's a little bit clearer what's happening and feels a little bit better. But glad to hear that was a nice change of pace. And then was it for Fox? I saw from a couple people. We do want to add nameable signs or nameable chests. We're still trying to figure out the exact way to do that. But we definitely want to give you more options for being like, this is my, clothing chest, this is my material chest. So expect that soon.
A lot of love for tree houses, which obviously we have a romantic spot in our heart for, given our studio name. Also, I think you guys might be pretty excited when we actually bring out the third biome, which will be part of early access, which is the Great Wood, which is giant, massive trees, kind of mangrove inspired trees where you can like run up the roots and stuff like that. So a lot more exciting sort of building space that I think will kind of hit the treehouse fantasy. Um, let's see what else. What else? What else? Uh, a lot of plushie love. Let's see. Can't wait for the early access period. Us too. Thank you also, Diddle, for the comment around like the player interaction. No, like this is very important for us. It's both like a huge source of joy for us, but also like a big part of how we just think games should be made. Because I do think we take a lot of that attitude of just being like, dude, we of course we want to bring this plan, this vision for what we think will be like an exciting experience. Like we want to be creative developers that can do that, but also so much of the purpose is like to create this emotional response in players, to give them that moment of joy, of 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 challenge, of excitement, both solo and with friends. And we're really just learning so much more about how that actually goes when we get real player feedback. And like a lot of this sort of whole topic was really around like, dude, even for some of the biggest and most critical bets for the game, like player feedback has sort of been there for every step of this, and we want that to continue. And in fact, just to give the shout out and thank you for someone else for plugging this as well, we got another playtest that I think a lot of you are in that just started this week. Please fill out the player survey, like Codiation said, because we look at that a ton. Also, for a lot of people who stream the game, we also watch a lot of the streams and we pull thoughts from there as well. Same with our Discord. All of those are really, really great spots to give us direct feedback about the game. But the survey, I think, is the single best source to just really go deep into a lot of stuff. We are also, we're coming to realize like Discord is not amazing for coverage. It's like the odds that you see one specific message at one specific moment is like not that high. So we're trying to push more of our dialogue into our newsletters and into like our Steam posts. So if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, Cherry's gonna put a link in our Twitch chat. I think actually, wait, did she add this? Uh, 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 uh. Hey, there you go. Sick. Okay, so now we have it in our Twitch chat. So if you sign up for it, then that's probably the single best spot to see all of the updates, to know when the next playtest is just kicked off, when there's a whole bunch of juicy new content that's worth checking out. And two really big things on our horizon. We're going to be in the PC Gaming Show on June 8th, which is really cool, part of Summer Games Fest. We have a trailer that we're going to be dropping there. And the day after, we're going to have our new build for Next Fest, Steam Next Fest. It's their festival that they do 3 times a year to show off new games. And we would love for you guys to see all the cool new stuff there. It's actually going to be a little less content than what you guys can play on the Discord, but it'll be as polished as we can make it. It's going to have all of these big systems changes, all these changes to the building system, all these bug fixes and performance improvements that we're working on behind the scenes right now. And also, we would love your support there because there are so many games in that window. So any help in the shout outs, in social media, in playing the game, and bringing in your friends, that's a great time to do it. And that support would be so crazy helpful for us. So we're going to post about those things. We're going to put out info. And then the last thing is the thing that Chiri mentioned earlier, which was if you guys have other ideas for events that we do in the community, for other contests and stuff like that, or other ways to sort of spread the community love, dude, let us know. We would love more ideas. That would actually be so helpful for us. Did I miss any last questions here before we go?
Got a few quick ones. I think it
Yeah.
was Nexus asked about more things to explore underwater, like caves. Um, I definitely want to expand that in the near future. We actually tried underwater caves at one point, but there's a particular challenge there where you have to be able to basically like carve out the underwater, so you can kind of like come out from the cave up into an open air pocket. You can obviously do an underwater one. So yeah, the team is definitely has a lot of ideas in that area, and I would expect as we get time, if we get time, to do more there. Appreciate all the people who are saying that they're passionate about and have information and experience with accessibility options. I made note of that, and definitely will reach out to some of you. And then I think that was all. Yeah,
Wait,
there will be a
wait.
new trailer for the PC gaming show.
I promised two responses that I got to remember. Crap,
Hmm.
who was it? It was about the building system. And the broad thing is, hey, the demo is available right now. We also have some previous streams and some videos about the building system. So if you have any questions about how it works, you can literally play with it right now. And then again, would love your feedback. Now is actually great timing because we're about to make a bunch of updates to it, so you can check it out fresh. The second one was the booty scooty. Yes, the infinite butt glide is currently disabled on the latest playtest, right? Part of it is also just being like, dude, we do have this sort of like in crowd here with the people who've been playtesting for a long time, who get sort of like, the raw fun of it, the humor of it. We're also on the flip side being like, oh, is this like the right first impression for a lot of people who might see it totally cold? But like obviously it's a source of joy for us and for you guys. We're working on the method of how to get that back to you guys in a way that looks a little more intentional, like you're in butt scoop mode as opposed to just gliding on your butt all over the game. So we are working on a version of it that is like a little more officially supported and also just like a better quality animation and stuff like that. So don't worry, we got it on our radar. We totally get the raw amount of liquid joy it creates. So uh, Buck McDancer, you are thinking in the right vein, right? Of being like, dude, like the people who are actually like talking with us that sort of get the how long of a running joke it's been. That's the audience we really want to like hand that to and just be like, dude, like go nuts, right? So yeah. Don't worry. We're watching. We're watching. I really felt the thank you, Regina. Thank you so much for the follow. Um, and then wait, was that two? That was two. Okay. And then follow up next is plans to expand the deep sea areas between biomes. And then we got to make that the last question.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about that. We've decided to focus on the biome regions right now, but I would love to add more things in the deep sea, particularly in the storm wall between regions. Maybe there's kind of more corrupt deeplings there, and so I think it's definitely a fertile region for future expansion. But right now, we're focusing all our energy on the shallow sea areas around the biomes.
And then I'm typing one more response. um, Booty Scooty. Mara, Winterhide, I was also just chatting with you on Discord. Thank you so much for joining our stream. It was really fun to watch you play. Um, and I'm glad you got further into the game. Guys, that's it for our stream today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's really cool to see so many familiar faces between the Discord and here, and just so many of you guys who've streamed the game as well. Really cool to see you guys just coming and chatting. It's really fun. And again, like I've said it a million times, like please don't be shy about reaching out over Discord and chatting. Like we're around. Oh my God, another first time chat. Bremner, welcome. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining our chat. And we hope to talk to you guys again soon for the next one. And if you have any other questions that you missed, pop over to Discord and we'll chat. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you guys so
Bye.
much. Bye-bye.